Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. If you're tuning in today, you are likely someone who is driven, focused, and totally ready to master the English language. Today, we're walking through a structured masterclass designed to guide you from that very common beginner's fear straight to absolute, confident English fluency. We're going to look at the daily habits, the real-world vocabulary, and the powerful techniques that fluent speakers use every single day.
Okay, let's dive into this. Do you understand English perfectly fine when you hear it, or maybe read it, but then completely freeze up when it's your turn to speak? If you're nodding your head right now, I really want you to know that you are not alone. It is literally the single most common fear that language learners face. Look, you don't need complex grammar to start speaking. You don't need a massive dictionary in your head. What you actually need is to build a bridge from understanding to doing, and that is exactly what we are building together today.
Here is our roadmap for today's session. First, we'll cover small habits. Second, real-world English. Third, the power of shadowing. And finally, learning through stories.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Small Habits, Big Progress.
Consistency is infinitely more powerful than cramming. You just can't learn a language by studying for 5 intense hours on a Sunday and then totally ignoring it the rest of the week. Instead, we need core daily habits. Things like speaking out loud, and I mean literally using your mouth, not just practicing in your head. Learning just 10 simple everyday words like eat, go, or feel. You also need to carve out time to listen to simple audio, read for just 10 minutes, and consciously try to think in English rather than translating from your native language. And finally, push yourself to speak with others. Even tiny amounts of small talk will build massive confidence.
Now, if all of those habits feel a little overwhelming right now, I just want you to focus on the number 5. Just 5. Start by speaking 5 simple sentences out loud every single day. Say, I am happy. Say, I am learning English. Say, I feel good. Repeat them 5 or 10 times. It sounds incredibly basic, right? But doing this daily, slowly but surely, eliminates that paralyzing fear of making mistakes. It trains your mouth and your brain to work together without hesitation. Moving right along to Section 2, Real-World English in Action.
Now, what's really interesting here is how it highlights a super common trap for beginners. In a lot of languages, you express feelings by saying you have them. But English relies super heavily on the verb to be. So literally translating I have hunger just sounds off to a native speaker. The natural, correct way to say it is I am hungry. The exact same rule applies to your age. You don't have 20 years, you are 20 years old. Remembering this one simple shift in verbs will make your English sound instantly more natural.
Okay, let's look at some fun, highly relatable vocabulary from our source material. Imagine it's around 4 p.m. You aren't starving, but you kind of want a little biscuit or a handful of nuts. You wouldn't say, I am starving. Instead, you can say, I am a little peckish. It's such a fantastic, casual word. On the flip side, if you're eating food that has absolutely no salt or flavor, like plain white rice, you wouldn't just call it bad, you'd call it bland. Dropping descriptive words like peckish and bland into your chats, it completely elevates your everyday conversational English.
And hey, this nuance of politeness is absolutely crucial in English, especially when you're eating out. If a waiter asks what you'd like, blurting out, I want the chicken sandwich, can actually come across as a bit too direct or even rude. Just a tiny, simple change to, I would like the chicken sandwich, please, or can I have the chicken sandwich, completely transforms a demand into a polite, natural-sounding request. It's a small adjustment, but trust me, it makes a huge difference in how people respond to you.
So let's see how this vocabulary builds into real-life problem-solving, like shopping. Let's say you're comparing a blue dress and a pink dress. You have to navigate the original prices, ask about discounts, and figure out the final deals. The blue dress starts at 350 rupees, but drops to 240 with a 15% discount. The pink one is cheaper originally at 270, and with a 10% discount, it comes down to 232. Being able to chat through these everyday comparisons, asking what's the price, or pointing out that's a better deal, is exactly what fluency looks like in the real world.
Oh, and before we leave the topic of food and real-world situations, I just have to share this brilliant anecdote from the source material about a spicy food challenge. If you eat a hot chicken wing that literally sets your mouth on fire, your first instinct is probably to gasp for a glass of water. But as they point out, water doesn't help. You need to ask for milk or bread to stop the burning. It's a funny little cultural and scientific tip for sure, but knowing how to urgently ask for milk instead of water, that could literally save you in a restaurant.
All right, let's dive into Section 3, the power of shadowing.
And this brilliantly illustrates what we call shadowing. It is a highly effective, active learning strategy that dedicated language learners swear by. It's not just listening, it's the active practice of repeating an audio sentence out loud immediately after you hear it. This is arguably the single best secret sauce for improving your pronunciation, your rhythm, and your accent, because you are literally mimicking a native speaker in real time.
So, the crucial point is how you actually execute this at home, and it's wonderfully simple. Step 1. Listen to some simple English audio, maybe an animated movie or a beginner-friendly podcast. Step 2. Literally hit the pause button. Step 3. Repeat the sentence out loud exactly as you heard it. Really try to match the tone, the speed, the emotion, the whole shebang. If you do this for just 10 minutes a day, your mouth muscles are going to adapt to forming English words completely effortlessly.
Now, look, when you start shadowing and speaking, you are going to make errors, period. But you have to adopt this simple mindset. Mistakes help us learn. Think of a learner walking out onto the street to practice talking to strangers. They don't need to recite Shakespeare. They just need to not freeze. Stepping up to someone and simply asking, "Where is the cafe?" or "What time is it?" is a massive victory. Embrace the mistakes, guys, because it means you are actually trying.
Finally, we arrive at Section 4, Learning Through Stories.
Listening to and understanding a complex story is really the ultimate test of your new comprehension skills. Let's look at the timeline of this super suspenseful story from our source called His Night Visit. It starts on day 1 with a woman named Jasmine, whose husband, Walter, leaves town for a few weeks. Fast forward to day 3, and a man named Pedro shows up at her door late at night. Turns out, Pedro is her abusive ex-husband from a past life she kept totally secret, and he starts returning every night to threaten her. But Jasmine doesn't stay a victim. On the final night, she sets a trap. She invites Pedro over, but when the lights flip on, Walter's manager and a police officer are right there waiting to catch him.
So Pedro gets arrested, and Jasmine confesses her secret past to Walter, who completely accepts her. And then she delivers this incredibly powerful realization. My past was not my shame, it was my survival. Now, why on earth do we use intense stories like this to learn English? Because when you connect emotionally to a narrative, when you literally feel Jasmine's fear and then her triumph, your brain locks that English vocabulary and those sentence structures deep, deep into your memory. Emotion is the absolute best glue for language learning.
So, I want to leave you with a provocative question to test your own English right here, right now. If you were in Jasmine's place, what would you have done? Would you have called the police immediately? Would you have told Walter on day 1? I want you to form an argument in your head in English right now. Use those small habits, build those simple sentences, and please, do not be afraid to make a mistake. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and I promise you, fluency is entirely within your reach. Thanks for joining this explainer, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.